How you doing, everyone? It's the Butcher, and today I'm bringing you a guide on my version of the Lightning Storm Druid. It's a little bit unique, takes things from, probably other versions you've seen and kind of combines them, and this is specifically built for the Gauntlet. So, with that being said, it's built for a lot of speed. It's not the tankiest build, not recommended for hardcore, but there are some things you can change around if you do want to make it more tanky. Anyway, let's jump into the build. We're going to start over with the skill tree first. So going through here, we're not using a basic, so just put 2 points wherever. Max out Lightning Storm and then take that into Raging. These are still bugged down here, so no need to take those. Although this would be extremely nice because our spirit cost isn't very high. So if this does get fixed, this is definitely something we want to incorporate into our build. But we're taking 3 into Predatory Instinct, 3 into the speed for werewolf form, and then 3 into Iron Fur. We are taking 3 into Ancestral Fortitude to hit our caps. We're coming down here, we're taking 1 into Wolves, 1 into Poison Creeper, and then we're taking Ravens down into Brutal to get the additional Ravens for our Shepherd's aspect. We are taking 3 into Nature's Reach. We are taking Trample, and we're taking that into Natural Trample to keep our Fortify up. We are taking Neurotoxin, 1 point to that, 1 point to Toxic Claws, and then just like always for any kind of werewolf build, you are taking 3 into Envenom, and you want 3 on your Amulet as well for the huge critical strike multiplier. Then down here for Ultimate, we are taking Petrify, and we're just taking it into Prime, no need to take it into Supreme. This is mainly going to be used on bosses or tough elite packs or suppressors. We are taking Defiance, 3 points into that. We are getting 3, I believe it's from the gloves actually. We are taking 3 into Circle of Life for some healing and 3 into Resonance. We are not taking Natural Disaster because we are not immobilizing or stunning enemies. You can, however, take this if you want. If maybe you don't want healing, you can take this and you can use either your Poison Creepers to immobilize enemies, or if you really want, you can take this over here, but it's only a 12% chance. So I prefer to just take the extra Lightning Storm personally. And then finally, we're coming down here. We're taking 3 into Quick Shift. We have extra ranks from this from one of our rings. We're taking 3 into Heightened Sense. Again, extra ranks from one of our rings. We're taking 3 into Natural Fortitude because we're constantly shape-shifting, so this will keep our Fortify up, which is important for not only our defense, but offensively as well too. And then for our key passive, we're taking Ursanine's Strength. So we're getting 25% multiplicative damage bonus and overpowered damage bonus, which we won't do that ever because it's a channeling skill. While healthy, and then we also, in addition specifically for this build, you gain 20% max life while in werewolf form for 3 seconds after. We're constantly going into werewolf form, so we actually have that up quite a bit. And the only other option really to take here, for the way I'm running it, would be Perfect Storm, but it's just 15% compared to 25 if we can just stay healthy. We don't have any spirit problems, so it doesn't really make sense to take Perfect Storm, honestly, over Ursanine's Strength, just in my personal opinion. So next, let's jump over to the Spirit Boons, and then we'll get into the gear, and then the pet, and then the Paragon board, and then finally end it with some gameplay. So for our Spirit Boons, we are taking Wariness in the first one, taking Sight Talons and Avian Wrath for the deer, and that's going to be our double. You can switch this out for Iron Feather if you want to be a little bit more tanky. Over here, we're taking Energize, just help keep our spirit up, and there's nothing really else to take. Although, there is a world where I like taking Bulwark instead of Petrify if we really don't need it. But I think I like having the Petrify there for bosses and, like I said, suppressors or big elite packs. It's nice to have. But there's a world where you could take Bulwark and you could take Bolster as well, too. And over here, we have Masochist. Taking this, I've tried Overload. It just really doesn't do that much. And I'd just rather have the healing, quite frankly. None of these are really very good for us at all. You can instead take Calm Before the Storm to keep the Petrify up, but like I said, I'm really just saving it for bosses, so I'd rather just take the healing personally, but those are all options as well too. You can use any of these 3. None are really going to be a bad choice. And even over here, you can take Calamity if you really wanted to get a little bit of extra time, but we kill the bosses before this runs out, so I don't really see the use in that. So now let's jump over to the gear. So for this build, we're using a ton of uniques. We are only using one uber unique that is not required by any means. You can easily get away with a regular ring here, and you won't lose out on too much damage, and I'll explain why, but that's just to let you know. So yes, there is a lot of uniques, but you can easily farm these. Tempest drops from Duriel, Mad Wolf's Glee drops from, I think, he drops from Vershawn, and I think Beast in the Ice as well too. These drop from Beast in the Ice, Duriel, this is Beast in the Ice, and maybe something else, maybe Vershawn too, I don't remember exactly. Anyway, you can get these all pretty easily, you can target farm them. So regular uniques aren't a huge problem. Obviously getting nicely rolled ones is a bit harder, but then like I said, the one uber unique is not a necessity for this build at all. But I do think Starless Skies is best in slot for this. So let's go through it. So first of all, for armor, we're using rubies, just to give us more health. We're using Tempest Roar here. Things you really want to prioritize, honestly, are really just the crit strike damage and the damage all shape-shifted. We don't care about the poison resistance. The max spirit really is important, and even the lucky hit at the bottom is important. We use this more because it turns our storm skills into werewolf skills. Then we're using Mad Wolf's Glee. This gives us more movement speed and also more damage. You can swap this out for a defensive chest piece if you want to be more tanky. And with that, we actually don't need any more armor the way I have it set up. So you can just run quad DR, and then you can also run the aspect. While in werewolf form you get 15% DR, and you'll be good to go. Or if you don't have a double armor roll on your amulet, you can take a double armor roll here, and you'll be capped for even tier 100s. Next, we have the unsung aesthetics wraps, something like that, whatever it is, the lightning storm gloves. So for this, we are prioritizing crit strike chance, ranks of lightning storm, Defiance passive, and then lucky hit chance would be last for sure. And then I wish I had a better roll on the bottom here, but I do have like a perfect crit chance roll, which is really nice. But I would like that to be a 20%, so we'll have to keep farming Beast in the Ice. But anyway, that's what's going to make this build kind of, pop. These are the new gloves added this season, and I think they've been a great addition, actually making Lightning Storm viable. Not just viable, very good. Running to bolts on the pants here. This is just going to keep our damage up, keep our resources up. Things you want to prioritize here are first and foremost the 40% damage while unstoppable. You want to make sure you get a 40% one. Beyond that, I would just try to get a nice DR roll over here. And then for our boots, we want movement speed, we want total armor, werewolf form, and then the last two are a bit up in the air. So I actually don't want spirit cost reduction because it doesn't let us hit our ancestral guidance as easily, and I don't have spirit problems specifically with Starless Skies. If you don't have Starless Skies, you might want to run spirit cost reduction on here. It's kind of up in the air. You probably still don't need it though, quite frankly. So I actually wish I didn't have spirit cost reduction. These are just really well rolled besides that. So I wish I had willpower there instead for sure. And then the other one, I have DR while injured, which I like for harder content. If it's easier content, then I would like to have all stats on there, so willpower and all stats, movement speed, and total armor and werewolf form. But the things you want to prioritize, as long as you get movement speed and total armor and werewolf form, you're basically fine. You're basically golden. And then you want to run Ghost Walkers on this. We're constantly unstoppable, so we're constantly having a 25% movement speed. And you can actually very easily hit the movement cap with this build, which is super nice and should be very good for Gauntlet. So we have 156 here, but that's not counting. We get another 9% when we go into werewolf form. So that puts us at what? 165, right? And then we get another 25% from Ghost Walkers. So that puts us at, was it 165, 190? And then if I had a better roll here, I shouldn't say you can easily hit the movement cap, but I have a minimum movement speed roll on here. I would be able to hit the movement speed cap if I had 10% more movement speed on my amulet here. But anyway, you're going to be super fast, I guess is the point of all that. But then moving on to the weapon here, we are running an axe here. for the damage to healthy enemies, you want to kind of one-shot, specifically a lot of like the trash mobs, but even like elites, you want to basically two-shot them for the most part. And the damage to healthy just helps. It's better than a mace. We don't overpower. And we don't need attack speed. This isn't basic attack speed, so it makes the most sense to run an X. But beyond that, what we want in terms of affixes are all stats, willpower, crit strike damage, and lightning crit strike damage. And yes, you read that right. We do not want damage to close and damage to distant, as you've probably seen a million times with the Thunderstruck node. This is actually the way I like to run it. And then we are running Shepherd's Aspect on this, and then we are running Emeralds in this as well too, as we're going to be making enemies vulnerable via our Exploit Aspect, or Glyph, excuse me. Moving on to the jewelry. So the way I have it set up, I have two diamonds and one skull. You can change that around based on hitting your needs, but if you have Starless Skies, you should only need two diamonds here, and then you can put a skull in one of them. But anyway, let's move on to the amulet. For this, you want movement speed, double armor, ranks of venom. Like I said, if you can't get double armor, you could literally get anything else and then use a regular chest piece and armor roll, and you'll be capped for tier 100 if that's important to you. But if not, if the gauntlet isn't tier 100 or it's like tier 70, then that second armor roll isn't even important. We don't even want that. We would want, what would be good, I guess, would be you could get even more ranks of the Defiance patch. Will probably be the best thing you could get, I would think. But just anything to increase damage would probably be better then. But for now, this is what I would recommend. Then we have the Ring of the Starless Skies. Well, first, I'm sorry. So we have the Retaliation aspect on our amulet here. And you might be thinking, so this is 45% multiplicative damage, right? If I were to throw, I have 3 companions. If I were to throw I forget what it's called, I believe the Stampede aspect that gives you 1 additional companion for each. Because of this, that would be 60% multiplicative increase in damage because we would get 3 extra companions. I did the testing. It doesn't quite work like that. And this is for a lot of builds when you see that, and that's why it's not as important as people think. People are like, oh, you got to take all the companions possible. You actually basically start to get diminishing returns. I'm not exactly sure the way it calculates it, but it basically calculates it separate. So this 45% gets calculated separate, so you are actually getting a bigger increase using Retaliation on here than you would be if you were using the Stampede, I believe it's called, to get the 3 additional companions. Even though you would think 60 times multiplicative damage is more than 45, it's not the case. And again, that is why Starless Skies is also best in slot here. It's a separate 40% multiplier compared to the 60% multiplier over here. Again, it will actually give you more damage, but it's not like an insane amount where a regular ring won't work here. So if you were using a regular ring, throw Stampede on it, take crit strike chance, crit strike damage, critical strike damage with lightning, and then either lightning damage or max life, good to go. And you'll be doing just about the same amount of damage, although slightly less. That's why Starless Skies is best in slot. And I know it's a weird thing. I played around with it. I did the testing. Trust me, you do more damage this way, even though it kind of seems counterintuitive. And then finally, what kind of makes this build work, the Hunter's Zenith Ring. So for this, what you really want to prioritize is crit strike chance, ranks of the quick shift passive, ranks of heightened sense, and then the damage all shapeshifts is nice. We really don't care about this bottom piece because we don't really care about the healing at all. We really want it for where it says next to Werewolf. Your next non-ultimate Werebear skill costs no resources, has no cooldown, and that is super important for our trample, so we can constantly kill things, trample, have it back up, kill things, trample, have it back up. And it makes for super smooth, super easy gameplay and allows us to move super quick. So now, moving on to the Seneschal right here. So we are using our very basic setup. We're using Flash of Adrenaline and Tempest. On Tempest, you want Evernight, Breaking, and Safeguard. Breaking, honestly, is not super necessary. I have it on here for bosses to keep them vulnerable. But honestly, you kill them kind of so fast, it might not even be necessary. But I keep it on there. And then if you don't have Evernight, I would suggest either using the Fortify one, wherever it is, Fortify support, or Efficiency for the extra crit strike chance. Then a Flash for General, we're running Genesis, Duration, and Tactical. If you don't have Genesis, I would run Gripping right here. Nothing else really works in Flash for General, unfortunately. But those are what I would run on the Seneschal. And now, finally, our Paragon board. So I actually did a lot of playing around with this. Like I said, we aren't running Thunderstruck. Probably one of the only Lightning Storm builds you'll see not running Thunderstruck. But here's kind of what I came up with. Still a little bit of work in progress, so I'm pretty happy with the way this board turned out. So down here we're starting out, we're running Fulminate, which is increasing our lightning damage and giving us multiplicative damage to healthy and injured enemies with our lightning, which obviously we're using. And then over here we are running Earth and Sky, so to give us some more armor and some more shape-shifting skill damage, and then also 10% increased damage to crowd-controlled or vulnerable enemies. Very nice. Coming up here, taking a little armor and life. Now down here we are taking Keeper, and this is going to give us a bunch more max life and nature skill damage. Very nice. We're coming down here, we're taking damage to Elite, which is also nice. If you really need the res instead of here, you can go over here and grab some more resistance. It should easily be capped. Over here, this is where we're putting our Spirit, and we are getting 194 increased crit strike damage. And then also every time they are critically, every time we critically strike them, they take more damage from us. But crit strike damage very important, especially with the Spirit Boon node, I guess I'll call it, being changed to multiplicative, the 30% multiplicative. Then over here, we're taking Ancestral Guidance, just taking some more Max Spirit, and then we're taking Resolve and Harmony over here. We're actually not hitting these, that's why all stats could be nice. We could find a way to at least hit this, potentially. But we're not hitting these, and it's not really a big deal. But finally, we're coming up here, we are taking Werewolf, and then we are taking Lust for Carnage. Honestly, not even positive that I need this. It's nice to have it, though. And we don't really need the points in other places. If you do find yourself a bit strapped on points, you can take one out of here. I just have an extra point to do more damage. And take these out, and potentially if you need res, come over here, grab that, and then come down and take these as well, too. So that could definitely be an option for you if you're not running Starless Skies. Okay. So that is the build overview. Now I'm going to jump into some gameplay. It's going to be a regular Nightmare dungeon, and I'm praying it has a boss at the end. If not, I'm going to do the same thing where I splice in footage of a boss. But you'll see. So this build isn't the tankiest. It doesn't do the most damage. What it does do very well is I think it's the fastest, and it can clear the content the fastest, and that's what we want for the Gauntlet. So anyway, let's jump into some Nightmare Dungeon gameplay and show it off for you guys. Alright, this is the one I picked. I think this one also has a 9% increased crit strike chance, but we would want to be using the elixir for critical strike chance anyway, so it's kind of a wash. But let's jump into here. Free the prisoners. I'm praying this has a boss. I just took this one because it didn't have any super annoying crap. But yeah, hopefully this one has a boss. I don't remember. Does it even have enemies? Okay, so once you kill an enemy, you're free to use your trample, and you'll see how fast we move, and we can keep trample, and our trample actually does decent damage. But you can see the absolute speed of this. And there is, if you don't know, playing with this on controller, you can kind of like aimbot it, basically through walls and stuff. So controller is actually probably better for this. I think I'm gonna make a separate video just on that entirely. But just keep that in mind. I'm playing this on mouse and keyboard because that's my preferred way to play, and it's not really necessary for me to show it off. But if I want to get super competitive in the Gauntlet, playing it on controller might be the way to go. I mean, what the heck? That guy just disappeared. Did you see that? I don't know what's going on here. I feel like doors are clipping in and out and stuff. I don't know about you, but you can see the absolute speed. I don't want to take the shrine. The speed of it is just insane, and we're still doing plenty of damage where it doesn't, like, we don't need the extra damage from Thunderstruck at all. It's just easier to take this, and we can put our points into other places and not worry about that. And we're just, I mean, we're frying everything. This is a tier 100. This is the highest tier. And we're just absolutely demolishing everything. Got like an elite pack here. I mean, how much quicker can you possibly kill things? So, like I said, see, we got hit there. We're not that tanky, that's for sure. But I don't really want to be. One, I'm not even sure if the Gauntlet would be this hard to begin with, and I'd rather do as much damage as fast as possible than be tanky, because I'm not playing hardcore. Like I said, this is not a recommended build for hardcore. Okay, we can kill this dude, get his key. I think you guys can see the speed of this build. Where does this build rank for me, I guess would be the next question, compared to some of the other builds I posted. I don't know, it's interesting because it's super good and it kills things super fast. My biggest thing is you gotta stop and channel it like this. And I'm not sure depending, oh, see, I accidentally double casted, so I don't have the cooldown on my trample. I held it down too long. But we'll have to see. Druid is in a really great spot, I think, in terms of like build variety and what could be good for the Gauntlet. It's gonna be very interesting. I think the last build I have to work on is the Boulder, which I've played, and I like it, but it's not my favorite. Oh my god, I thought that was going to kill me. I thought it just ran right into it. Which I've played, and I think is okay. It could be really good, but the problem is it's like very intensive, and you got to hit a lot of different things. You can run it with like a macro. But I think there's like 5 competing builds for Druid that are going to be good. I don't think you could say that probably about any other class in the game. So it should be super fun figuring out what's the build we want to run with. I'm probably still going to start with Shred, I think. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see our clear times. We're going to be testing them all out. Probably go live for that too when the Gauntlet does drop. But yeah, I mean, you can see here how easily we're able to just decimate everything. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. And you can see, like I said, our Unstoppable is constantly up. We're super fast. And we're basically 1 to 2 shotting everything, except for maybe some elites take 3 or 4. But they're still going down super quick. I don't want to do that. Okay. Alright, we got one boss here. Oh, we got like the triple elite. God damn it. Okay, I mean, they fold over. Okay. So I am again, because of these stupid dungeons, I am going to have to slice in some gameplay, and I will do that now of a boss. Alright, let's jump into some boss gameplay here. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure your Lightning Storm is pre-channeled. You'll probably have that up already if you're not recording like I am. But then we're going to come in here, and it actually didn't pre-channel it, but you're going to want to petrify and then absolutely demolish the boss. And I actually don't think I was pre-channeled there, but if you can, try to pre-channel it for the boss. It stays for 6 seconds, and you'll start those 6 storms. But once you use petrify, I mean, this was it was a tier 97, and now I can't see what was on there. There's nothing crazy. I think there was nothing that actually helped us at all. But yeah, that's the boss gameplay, and now back to your regularly scheduled program. And I hope you guys enjoyed that boss gameplay. I'm assuming it was very short. It usually only takes a few seconds to kill these high tier bosses, but that is going to be the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. It builds a lot of fun. I'm glad they made Lightning Storm good. We'll have to see where it sits, but it's definitely a contender for a top tier build for the Gauntlet, and this is my version of it. I think it's probably going to be the best version for the Gauntlet because of just the absolute blazing speed that you can get with it. So it's been the Butcher. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.